college radio DJs during the 90s. Hosts Keith and Steve helped expose bands like Nirvana, Pavement, and PJ Harvey. They went to shows, interviewed musicians, and reviewed albums for various zines and papers. They worked security at concerts and once even did load-in for Fish. Now they're dads. Whether you want to explore lesser-known music or take a trip down memory lane, tune into the New Dad Rock. Join hosts Keith and Steve as they navigate the ages together, sharing their love of music across various eras and genres. Always well-intentioned, often well-informed, seldom boring, the New Dad Rock will expand your mind.
Welcome to another episode of the New Dad Rock.
Did you catch the OC stream?
No, I was actually in Montauk while it was happening, but did you?
Dude, even worse. The week before, I'm like, oh my God, they're on. I'm like, Chrissy, they're on right now. I got to go. It's like 4:50. I think they come on at 5 because they're playing 7 Central Time, so 5 Pacific Time. I get my ticket, and the live stream recording, so it's like $10. I get it, and it's like, there's a link at the end of this receipt. I'm like, no, there's not. Then they're like 15 minutes before, they'll give you the link. But I bought it at like 10 minutes right before. And then, so I'm freaking out. I'm like, where's my link? I'm refreshing, I'm re-signing in, and everything. I'm like, where is it? And then I like email them, I tweet at them, like whatever support, and they're like, it's next week, dude. Anyway, so did I see the OCs? Yes, I did. And it's awesome, dude. Like, what they're doing is crazy. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I talked about it too much. Just check out the OCs. It's currently OSEES, and we have an episode about them you should listen to.
Yeah, the same day was Record Store Day, which I didn't do that either. And it's okay. I was in line, back in August for the first drop because they're doing 3 drops this year. Again, last week's episode we talked about this. But I was getting a little disillusioned because it's a whole point of Record Store Day is to get people back into the stores. And it's like a swarm of vultures from like 7 till 8:15, and then by 9 o'clock the lines are going down, and by 10 it's crickets in the place.
I still don't get records. I mean, if you want to listen to the whole album, just download the whole. I mean, download it. What is it? Download, but yeah, download the whole album. Stream it, whatever. Yeah.
So the whole point of Record Store Day was to buy records, and I was forcing myself into buy stuff I didn't really want. I think, as I mentioned, I was like, I've got to get this John Coltrane album. And I think in years past, I'm like, I have to get this Alice in Chains live record just because. So the very, very first band I was really into in a weird, perverse way was like Depeche Mode. But like, we're talking like 84, 86, 87, I don't know. But like, they had magazines. That's the only way you'd see bands, right? And like, Depeche Mode was, so like, the only way you see was these teen fan mags, dude. Cool. I also remember skateboarding on a quarter pipe, whatever. But my point is this, like Record Store Day is like, say, here's a unique thing. Here's the live recording you can never find. Here's like the live set before you could digitize all that stuff. It's like, were you there? Here, I recorded on my Walkman. It's just like, there's only 10 of these. There's only 100 of these. There's only 1,000 of these. So Record Store Day is like a manifestation of celebrating the physical embodiment of sound. I get it. I haven't looked into the economics of it all.
Yeah, it can't
sure
be any good.
All the laws of supply and demand and mass production, forced scarcity all play into it.
Is there a band called Forced Scarcity? Because if so, I'm sure you.
No, but it.
Forced Scarcity band, dude. If not, we should definitely interview them. No, I don't see it.
Yeah. Maybe we could get them to open up for the butchered rodents.
No, or that's how the butchered rodents come back. Speaking of which, how are the butchered rodents doing? How many have you met back up with?
I've gotten in touch with 2 of them. One of them we were texting a bunch, and the other one, I think he gave me his email address, and I think I forgot to follow up. And I haven't found a tape player yet, so I haven't even heard it.
Hey, I sent you and Eugene that like picture of like where all the money came from in the music industry as far as selling music, and
right,
I can't believe the heyday was compact discs. Which I mean, looking at my books of them, I get, but like vinyl's making a comeback.
Yeah, well, think about it. Like when you used to buy compact discs, they were like $13.99,
Oh my God.
$15.99, even more
Dude.
sometimes. I mean, if you got lucky, they were $9.99, or you got them used.
In today's
But
money,
I
that's
spend-
like $40. Like, think about
and
it.
I spend, and conversely, I spend $15 a month for my 5-person family to stream any music they want, anywhere they want, at any time. Like 5 people are doing that for, like you said, a third of what that would have cost in today's money.
Dude, but like, that's just crazy though, right? Because like, one, like, I assume streaming makes money via like radio type sales, which has got to be not as good as selling a compact disc. I mean, even in the heyday though, like a band like Pearl Jam, my understanding was they're only making $1 off of that $13, $14 sale, and that's split among 5 people, plus they got to pay their management. Like, there's a lot of people taking money on that whole stream.
Right, but I'm saying my $15 is being divided so many different ways because
absolutely.
How many albums I listen to times my wife, my daughters listening to whatever they listen to. My $15 being split up so many different ways that you can see, oh, this guy's got 4 cents, this guy's got 3 cents, whereas off of a CD, you were making that dollar.
Dude. Yeah, man. So it sounds like you're done with Record Store Day then. You don't need any of this physical stuff.
No, I mean, I definitely, I enjoy the records. It's just such a nice thing. It's the slowing down part. It's the process of putting it on, you know, getting the jacket or the record out of the jacket, putting it on the turntable, dropping the needle just in the right spot. It's awesome. So what I've been doing is finding, instead of, you know, falling for maybe some of the Record Store Day. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a ton of great things that come out on Record Store Day.
Uh-huh.
But I just went out and found some things. And one of those things, and back when I first started collecting vinyl, I'm like, I need to have this band on vinyl, and it's Morphine. You and I, Keith, I think we started listening to Morphine at the same time, didn't we?
It had to be. The Halcyon days are like 93, 94. Like, it's the middle album, or the second album. They didn't have so many albums.
Yeah, well, they only ended up having 5 albums, but their second album, which I think really broke them, was called Cure for Pain.
Oh, yeah, that
was 93.
Jesus, that was so good. So for those who don't know, Morphine is a drummer, a saxophonist, and a 2-string bassist.
And the 2-string bassist sang, and his name is Mark Sandman. And Mark Sandman had this very, very cool persona. You know, the smoky back rooms, the rainy streets, the noir kind of guy sneaking up on you, the femme fatale in the background catching his gaze.
Totally. Yeah, he was from the Boston area, and he was in another band, Treat Her Right, before that. So they're playing around in other bands, but I really like what they did on those albums. Oh, Cure for Pain is one of my favorite songs.
Well, Cure for Pain and the one before it, good. Those first 2 albums, they hit me at the same time because I got into them when the second album came out. Thursday, you know, about a guy playing pool with his, with this girl, and then one day they go back to her place, and you know, the neighbors, they see his car, and it was a violent end. I think they met. Just, you know, songs about going down to the river and paying the ferryman to go see the preacher's wife. You know, kind of, you know, the infidelity,
yeah, like it was definitely like a steampunk 50s vibe or something. Oh man, but
well, not steampunk, but yeah.
It's all
Beatnik, maybe.
Yeah.
Beatnik.
There you go. But like, I felt he was a younger Tom Waits. I love the time that I saw them with you in Central Park. I went with my friend Brian to meet Steve in Central Park to hear Morphine play for free at a summer concert. It was awesome in Central Park. And
was Brian with us?
No.
That's what I was saying. I don't remember Brian being there.
No, I come with him from Massapequa on Long Island. I take the railroad. You know, we land at Penn Station. We walk up. We get to Central Park. And I'm like, oh, where are we going to find Nelson? And like, Brian was very adamant about doing something. Like, oh, we got to go here and get in line and be in the front. I'm like, whatever, dude. Or, we have to da-da-da. And I'm like, I'll find Nelson. And you and I found each other, like, on the bridge, both looking down for where the other guy was. I found you pretty quick, in like 2 minutes after leaving Brian. But we never saw Brian again.
But you know who we did see at that show, and you may not even remember this, is my friend Scott from high school, who I hadn't seen in probably 4 or 5 years at that point. And I just got in touch with him. He runs the City of Devils blog in LA. So he was up at the front row right with us. And I looked over where, Dana Colley's jamming out on his sax. And I look over and there's my buddy from high school right next to me. And it was just one of those freaky occurrences.
Dude,
anyway.
Oh my God.
I digress. But that show was just amazing. So that was in 84, maybe summer of 84.
Wait, hold on. Wait. What'd you say? What year?
I think it's 94, not 84.
August 6th, 1994. 15 songs. Starts with Have a Lucky Day. Goes into I'm Free Now, which is my favorite song of theirs. Last song, Cure for Pain.
Yeah, so those are from the first 2 albums. And at that point, that's all that was released. So their third album, which was called Yes.
Yeah, they played Yes. That was song 10.
They played a handful of songs from that album, and that was one of the great things about Morphine. When they played live, not only did they do different takes on songs, they would do songs from their B-sides, and they would do unreleased songs. And I remember hearing a number of songs before they came out on albums like Swimming, which was later. I don't know if I heard anything from The Night ahead of time, but a good third of Yes was played this afternoon. Not the band Yes, the album Yes. And they were so impactful, they were so simple but so poignant that they resonated, so you remembered them. And 6 months later when you heard the album for the first time, you're like, yes, I heard this song, yes, at the concert. Well, not the band, Yes.
It sounds like you saw them a lot live. Like, where did you see them?
I saw them probably 5 or 6 times.
Wow,
I saw them.
That's awesome.
West Beth Theater on the Lower West Side. I saw them at Webster Hall. Mm-hmm. They're just one of those bands that you knew if they were in town. I remember going to see them at Webster Hall. I'm like, I don't like this venue. It's too big. I didn't really like. I feel like I was going with a weird crowd or someone, and I was just like, I'm not into it. And then the minute you get there and Morphine gets on stage, they were one of those bands that you had to see live. And I'm lucky and fortunate that I saw them live, like I said, 5 or 6 times. And then Mark Sandman passed away.
Yeah, midway through his set on stage, they were on song 3. I think it was in Italy. Man, he was like
just outside,
53.
Outside Rome, I think.
Wow, yeah. I mean, what a way to go. Like, if I'm lucky, I'll go during a New Dad Rock episode.
But it's crazy. He had a song, like, it was like on 6/6/66, I was little, I didn't know shit. And then he goes 7/7/77, 8/8/88. He's doing all these things. And then he's like, on 9/9/99, hope I'm sitting on the back porch drinking red wine. French Fries and Peppers, the name of that song. But I remember it stuck out in my head, like, hope I'm doing this. And this album came out in like 97 or 98. So you're like, oh, you're saying hope for something that might happen in 2 years? And sure enough, he didn't make it there. Like Keith said, July, so 2 months prior. And the scary thing, Keith, he was our age, like right now, the age we are when this happened to him. So
yeah, and that's why
you joke about dropping.
Yeah, and that's why my band doesn't tour.
Yeah.
Okay, not the only reason. Yeah, man, dropping dead on stage. Way to go. But maybe not. All right. So, besides 2-string bassing, which is brilliant because you're covering like the left hand of the piano and you're the singer and your voice fills up all this space. You're Sinatra, I don't know, you're Tom Waits, you're a crooner. It's awesome. He put a sax right in there. It's only a trio. It's a 3-piece, a drums obvious, and like sax. Wow.
Yeah, well, think about the era that this is happening. Their first album is 91. I think Cure for Pain was 92 or 93. 93, I guess it was. And then, Yes. And then they had 2 other albums like Swimming and The Night. they're coming out of the 80s. Think back to the 80s. Every 80s movies you saw had an awesome saxophone solo. Like, think back to the guy in The Lost Boys up on the stage there. That, guy, like, pulsating, playing the sax.
Oh, man. 80s was phenomenal that way.
Yeah, so they're coming out of the 80s, and the sax was the cheesiest thing. It was very pastel, the whole, like, you belong to the city. Like Miami Vice kind of sound.
Oh, that's exactly what I was totally thinking that.
Yeah, and then in the 90s, you go into Morphine, taking that and bringing the saxophone, back
saving
into
it. Saving
back
it.
into that,
Yeah.
Coltrane, Charlie Bird Parker, Stan Getz kind of style, like a little bit more. Well, I mean, Stan Getz was kind of cheesy, but, the Birdman, Charlie Parker, like, bringing it back like that. And then a couple of years later, to go on a crazy tangent, is Lost Highway, Bill Pullman, the David Lynch movie. He's this crazy sax guy, and it's very discordant what he's playing, and it's, you go from the schmaltz of the 80s through the early 90s with Morphine, taking it down the elevator, down the escalator into this dark vision that David Lynch pulls out as Bill Pullman in Lost Highway, which is quite a journey.
I gotta say that sax live is just so good. Like, that's what you forget. Like, yeah.
I mean, sax has always played a huge role in music. Like,
totally.
After guitars, bass, drums, keyboards. It's definitely the top brass instrument. I know trumpet is in there, but I think it's got to be sax.
Totally.
The way you can play an alto and a tenor sax. And, Dana Colley and Morphine sometimes would play two saxes at once live just to get that high end and the low end in there.
Wait, so is the sax back?
The sax has been back lately. I mean, I know there's been, lately, 2016,
yeah, that's lately
17,
to me.
PJ Harvey's last tour. She played a ton of sax on her tour. That was her first instrument, believe it or not. It's been prominently featured in a bunch of Deer Hunter songs. I mean, there's this crazy black metal cover of Iron Maiden's Wrathchild. So Iron Maiden is metal. They're not that hard or scary. You get into black metal, like Norwegian black metal, Ishan. They play this slamming version of Wrathchild with the demon growl vocals. And then in the middle of the song, they have a saxophone solo. And they add horns even in, like, the melodies in the background. It almost sounds like... It's almost like if you threw in the band Chicago back in the early 70s, like they're 25 to 6 or 3/4, whatever that is. And threw in Norwegian black metal. It was just crazy. I don't know. Have you noticed sax in other things?
Hey, welcome to puberty. Have you noticed sax in things lately? No, I can't say I have, but at the same time, it wasn't gone. Sounds, are so ubiquitous these days with samples and stuff. Like, in a lot of ways, like, I can't tell sax different from any other sound that they shove at me. I listen to a lot of hip hop. I listen to country, but I know that's like, guitar. Like, there's no saxophone. Country music doesn't have saxophone, does it? Like, is
that country music? I don't think.
God,
so.
Is that?
I can't think of an example.
Oh my God! So, and of all the songs, artists' ears where sax was prevalent, right? Or in the case of the '80s, ubiquitous. Morphine still would have stood out.
Yeah, and I think that really comes down to, they had a very unique sound, but Mark Sandman, he was the guy, he was the visionary behind it. He had this mic that basically, it sounded not really like he was talking through a CB speaker or a...
Right. Yeah.
Or a megaphone or something.
Right.
But I remember seeing Les Claypool, I think he was both Les Claypool solo and in Primus. He has what he calls a Sandman microphone, and he does some of that more psychedelic, otherworldly, like, voice from inside of a tube.
Yeah, that's cool.
He's called Mark Sandman out and mentioned it to him, or mentioned it to the audience. And this was 4 or 5 years after his death. I remember seeing him with Primus. and he did that. But I've seen him do it more than once, throughout time, and that's one thing that I mean. Do you feel like they've gotten their due? I feel like people do know Morphine, but I think more people should know Morphine than they do.
Well, I'll go further. They're one of my 10 or so deserted island, or desert island, whichever way you prefer, like CDs. Like this, like Cure for Pain, or that album is sick. Like top 10. Like seriously, I've only said 3 or 4 of my top 10. I know there are a lot from this era, but like that Morphine album like meant so much to me, or means so much to me. Like I'm free now.
Well, that goes.
Woo!
I'm free now to direct a movie, sing a song, and write a book about yours truly. Let's Take a Trip Together. Miles Davis' Funeral. So many great songs. They really should be bigger than they are.
I mean, you've said enough, right? Like you're trying to get people to listen to the music. Like, what's the thing you need to say to like check out Morphine if you haven't heard them? Yeah. Well, okay. Here you go.
Yeah.
Here you go. If I've never heard Morphine before, what should I go listen to first? First song or first album? Like, what's the first thing I put on?
I mean, we'll put a bunch of songs in the notes. We'll put together a Morphine highlights playlist, but you really can't go wrong with any of their... They have 5 proper albums and B-sides. Cure for Pain is probably the one that they broke through into the public eye, but you might as well start with Good, their very first album.
Oh, yeah. I like this.
Start right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Start with Good, go through, and they do have a B-sides collection. They have an official live album, which... Like I said before, these guys are one of the bands that you had to see live. But yeah, Morphine, I can't say enough about them. If anything, just check them out. I don't think you'll go wrong. You know, if you like crooners, something dark, a little melancholy, a little late at night, a little jazzy, a little, you're drinking the brown stuff. Maybe a tawny port. It's probably smoky there, though.
Steve, that was so informative, man. Thank you so much. Oh, man. We can't wait to talk to you all soon. Take care. Stay safe. We love you all.
Yeah, Morphine is awesome.